Storm Shadow, unless we work together, we shall not live to resolve our differences.
Agreed. We must unite against our common foe.
We shall need all the help we can get.
Never thought I'd be rooting for Storm Shadow.
Coming up on Crossfire Collectibles, G.I. Joe Classified Series number 131, Storm Shadow. Stick around. What's up, and welcome to Crossfire Collectibles. Today's video, we're going to be unboxing and reviewing the G.I. Joe Classified Series number 131, Storm Shadow. So we finally got an official Storm Shadow version 2 G.I. Joe figure. And as I say G.I. Joe, I mean he is now converted sides from Cobra to G.I. Joe. Just like they did back in the comics, he went over to the Joe side and then more BS happened. They kind of skipped it in the cartoon where it went from a Real American Hero into the Dick series, where he was all of a sudden just a member of Ninja Force and on the Joe side. So you kind of lost some touch in between there with him. But you know, back in the 80s when version 2 Storm Shadow came out, that was one of my personal favorite figures. I still have it somewhere. So unfortunately I can't dig them out, but it's okay. We have the new upgraded 6-inch classified version, and we're going to go ahead and review him for you. So here he is in the box. Got the black and blue carbon fiber, G.I. Joe Storm Shadow, G.I. Joe Classified Series. There's the figure and all his accessories inside the window. Over to the side here, you have your QR code. And here is some stats. Around the back, you have nice little figure art picture here of Storm Shadow in front of some type of building. You see some leaves of a tree blowing, you know, all around. Could be cherry blossoms, not quite sure. But you have a close-up of the hood, a close-up of his right forearm and Yarashikage tattoo. Stats again. Around to this side, nice artist render. So Storm Shadow in his white gi with a little bit of that gray marking, almost giving it some sort of technically camouflage, but not totally. But anyway, 131 at the top, stripes and star, UPC at the bottom. Again, this is from Barnes & Noble. We picked up him and Alpine. Alpine we reviewed already. I'll leave a link in the comments and pin that for you if you want to check it out. But we're gonna go ahead and pop him open. So let's get into it. But first, please subscribe to the channel. Alright, so I remember back when Amazon released their exclusive Storm Shadow, everybody was like, oh, this is not the version 2 version we were looking for, but it was a good homage to the Ninja Force version. However, I still feel, you know, we're going to get a proper Ninja Force version sometime down the line. Let's go ahead and pop them out. We got some crap. Get that box off to the side. So here is Storm Shadow in the plastic dungeon. Bunch of accessories. So I guess we'll start popping these out and we'll go over them one by one. Alright, so here we go. We got out all the accessories. And I've got to say, this was one of the more difficult packagings to get all the accessories out of. Had a time with the hands. It was a real bitch, you know, all these little holes up in here, and you had to pull them all out and had to cut a few out. But anyways, let's go ahead and go over the accessories here. So first up, we have this compound bow, all black. Major detail on this thing. It looks really nice. We've seen it before, but glad to get it again because it is a pretty nice bow. It looks very similar to the card art from the Storm Shadow version 2 from a Real American Hero as well. Here we have his backpack, also reused, all black. You got some arrows in it, a couple of slots to hold some things. You got these little side hook pieces, peg to plug into the figure's back. Some nice wrinkling details in it. You got a rope that doesn't attach, a little bedroll at the top. Pretty cool. And we have a couple of these hand claws hooked at the end. We've seen them before as well. So I think everything in this pack is all reused except for the figure itself. But nice. And then we have a pair of swords. So you got that silver blade, more of a dull, almost matte silver. It's not entirely metallic. You got the red wrappings on the handles. And you do get a pair of these, and they are identical. And then you have 2 extra sets of hands, apart from the ones that are on the figure. And first, you have a pair of clenched fist hands. Nice details in these as well. You can see some veins running through the top, stretching around the knuckles, muscle definition. Very cool. They have hinged pegs that will allow them to move inward and outward. Same with both. And then you have a pair of chopping hands. So very nice as well. Amazing detail. These also have hinge pegs that will allow them to move out and in. I may use one with this figure, not sure yet, but we'll get around to it. And then we'll go ahead and break the figure out. And here he is. And I gotta say, he looks pretty nice. He looked good through the packaging. He looks even better in person and out. I love the white outfit, those markings on it. Nice homage to the version 2 Real American Hero Storm Shadow. Get a close up of that Arashikage tattoo on his forearm. Looks absolutely beautiful. Here you have a couple of sheaths hanging off of his belt, so you can go ahead and throw his swords into there. And then he has this belt with all this stuff hanging off of it. None of it is removable, unfortunately. A couple of these red ropes. He's got them little throwing knives that are attached to the side. Pouches in the front. Some flaps hanging down. So up here on his torso, he has some more rope. So this is black, and it is strapped off right here with his red wrapping. And this is not attached, so you can pop that off if you want. And then under that, you have this, I believe this is a piece for his archery, you know, to in case there's any ricochet from the arrow shooting off of his bow. And then we'll go down to the feet. Take a peek at these shin guards. Pretty nice. So then we'll go up to his head. And you can see you got the masked version underneath and the hood over top. Unlike the other versions of Storm Shadow that have come out so far, this hood is not removable. I mean, I'm sure you could get it off somehow, but it is actually, it seems attached to the head underneath. But I don't mind that at all, because he's supposed to have his hood up for this figure. We'll go ahead and put this stuff to the side, and we're going to go ahead and check his articulation out. So the head itself is on a ball joint and can rotate a full 360. With the hood, the head can move back about that far, down that far, a little bit side to side. He does have range of motion in the neck. Over at the shoulders, arms are attached to butterfly joints. They can move up about that far. Rotate a full 360, bicep rotation, double jointed pinless elbows. Move down to the hands. At the wrist, there's that hinge peg in there to allow them to do a full 360. Hinge peg, hands can move down and up, and the figure has a pair of grip hands on them. Very nice. Ab crunch. He can go forward about that far with the belt on, and he can move back about that far. There's waist swivel. Now this belt is a bit bulky, so I'm sure there's going to be some limitations on how you can move these legs. But up at the hips, you have the drop leg. Leg can go forward that far. With those flaps on, back about that far. And out to the side, about that far. Even though the sheaths are there and they are limiting some articulation a bit. Thigh swivel. Got some pretty tight knees, but there's the double jointed pinless knees. Down at the calf, You have rotation at the bottom of the pants and the top of the shin guards. Down at the ankles, you have the hinge to allow the foot to go that far forward, that far up, and side to side pivot. So pretty decent articulation on the figure. I think it's fairly nice. Works out good for him. See, he stands pretty well. Looking down at the feet, his toes do kind of curl up a bit. So he's probably gonna need some stands. That's totally fine. We'll work with it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and throw the rope back around him. So get that back on. And then I'm not sure what we're gonna do for him. I think we may give this figure the bow. Unfortunately, some of these arrows come off, and there were no others in the packaging that we can use to, you know, kind of line up with the bow. But we're gonna go ahead and gear him up. And we'll start by sticking these swords in the sheath right here and here, just like that. We're gonna go ahead and take his backpack and throw that on. So if we did not want to use our bow in his hands, you know, you can throw that on his back. I'm sure there's different ways you can put it on, but you know, just to show you some simple ideas, you know, pretty much can set it on anyway, just around that. But I think we're actually going to have him geared up with it. And then you have the little hand claws here, and you can go ahead and slide those over the fingers and get them down, you know, something like that. If you want, you don't have to. But then they can also go on his back somehow. I believe you could simply slide them right there, attach them on those little clips. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and just give him the bow. It's probably the wiser of the choices. So we'll go ahead, flex those fingers out, get that up on there. I don't want to go, you know, fully retro, you know, like the original version 2 card art, but we can do something similar. You know, like I said, unfortunately, there's no arrows, so we can't have him, you know, kind of pulling the string back and get ready to shoot something, but we can get something close to it. So maybe we'll just have him kind of like that. Looks pretty cool. Maybe he just shot it off or something. I mean, I think his arm should be straight for that. But, yeah, we'll toy around with it. We're gonna go ahead and check out one of the other hands. So, I don't think a fist hand is gonna work. We'll go ahead and give a chopping hand, you know, just in case be like, Shaw! That doesn't look right. Yeah, I think we'll go ahead and just stick with these. We're not gonna put the claws on him either, and we'll just leave the swords in the sheath. So he almost pretty much just let that go. So I'm gonna go ahead and give him kind of a funky leg stance to where he was crouched a bit and shot this off. So we're gonna extend that foot out some. See how kind of low we can get him. So we'll toy around with him for a second. And for this, of course, we're gonna need some stands. So we're gonna go ahead and plug one in each of the bottom of the feet. So there we go. We geared him up a bit. I think it looks pretty good. That'll be, I guess, our stance we'll use for our shelf for now. I'm not going to worry about gearing him up with the swords. We already have our other Storm Shadow with them swords. But let's go ahead and bring him out for you. So, for comparison, here is 133 with the Retro Collection Storm Shadow. And they look pretty good together. You know, you have good and evil. So, pretty nice. He's going to stay on my Kerber shelf. He's going to go on one of the new G.I. Joe shelves, and I think he'll make a nice addition. Alright, so a quick single comparison for you. Now, we're going to go ahead and toss him up onto the turntable and give you some final thoughts.
G.I. Joe will return after these messages.
Crossfire Collectibles.
Crossfire Collectibles.
Crossfire Collectibles. Crossfire Collectibles. And knowing is half the battle. Yo, Joe.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
All right, So here you have it. The G.I. Joe Classified Series number 131. G.I. Joe Storm Shadow. Great figure. He looks amazing. I like the homage, the classic look, version 2 of American Hero Storm Shadow figure. He looks amazing. He's got some nice details. He's got quite a few additions. I like the belt. I really do. I just wish some of the stuff was removable. You know, you could maybe even take the belt off. It could get in the way a little bit. I wouldn't mind that, you know, just being maybe one color, but I think it looks good. It actually looks good like that. I like the addition of the swords you can add to the sheets on his belt. The backpack we've seen before, but it's good that you can add some things to it, you know, so he doesn't have to just store everything away. You can throw it on the back, even if you don't want to make it that bulky. I'm kind of disappointed there was no arrows. I think he should at least have one, you know, so we can put it in his hand to make it look like he's actually loading the bow up. But, you know, it is what it is. The articulation is great. I was toying around with him, you know, during the video, some cut parts, but he really does move around pretty good. Nice range of motions in every way, so good figure. I really like it. A couple more for this set, and we'll move on to the next. I know the Dragonfly has been shipping. Some people have even gotten it, and we got quite a week next week to line that up. You know, we'll start with the unboxing and then do each figure here and there. But so far for Storm Shadow, he is great. I love it. I would highly recommend him. If you don't have him yet, he should be shipping anytime now from both Amazon and Hasbro Pulse. I did get mine at Barnes & Noble. We got him early. Reviewing him a little bit late, even though I wanted to review him early, but, you know, life calls and we had to take care of certain things first. But here he is finally, and he looks amazing. Great figure. But that's going to do it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed what you saw. If you did, please, like always, leave that giant thumbs up. Subscribe, tickle that bell so you're notified when we post future videos. Be sure to follow us on social media. And again, we'll see you next week with a bunch of Dragonfly stuff. So until then, see you in the next one. Peace.